G'day everyone, Jason Nunn from Fisherman's Warehouse Marine, Sweet Street at Warners Bay, your Newcastle Honda marine dealer. Friday today, guys, wait it out again. It's obviously coming. Northeast winds tomorrow with possibly 70 mil of rain, we're not sure yet. And then of course Sunday, you'll have 30 knots approximately, south-southwest. So we're going to get a big shift in the swell on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and even into Wednesday. They anticipate sea swells along our coast anywhere from 4 to 4.5 metres for a period of about 4 days. It's going to be a real big stir up, and it's going to be interesting to see what actually happens. I don't think the 60 or 70 mil of rain is going to really affect the lake or anything behind us, because it's not significant enough for a giant flush, and it is coming through quite quickly, but it's that big sea off the coast, so it really will, I think, still keep on improving our situation. Last weekend, so unpredictable the weather, I have to say. We were going to go fishing Saturday and it was just horrible. Southerly came in early, we cancelled, and then we went on the Sunday and it was just tough going. It was just southeast all the way out, it got flogged stupid, and then coming through, you know, wind, squalls and rain, and it was fantastic. Anyhow, we got to the edge and it was super lumpy. There was a lot of current. That hot water, the week previous that we had out and around about 800 fathoms, is inside around 80 fathoms. So it's probably around about 77 fathoms. And I might add, on the last chart, it's pushing inside. So the current itself coming down the coast is actually arcing in, and it's going to start to push in the coast. This is going to be very, very interesting because the water temperature is in and around 26 to 26.5 degrees. So it's starting to push in towards the fat off the farm. But if it actually gets in closer, you wouldn't know what's going to happen. It's just an amazing situation at the present moment. And when you think about it, we're almost into, April, and we've still got 26 to 26.5 degrees off the coast. Thus, when we get these storms, you just don't know what level of rain is physically coming in. We were fortunate last week on Sunday, put the lures in, only trolled for a short period of time as we're going over the edge, and snipped a nice small blue marlin. Patrick would jump straight on and was towed him up in no time flat. Beautiful looking fish, tagged him and let him go. Went out to 350 fathoms where everyone had talked about how there was a lot of bird life in the previous day. There was a couple of yellowfin there because the Broken Bay competition was on last weekend and a few guys had seen some. The odd blue marlin. There was thousands of birds, more birds than you ever seen in your life. Just nothing happening. They were on frigates and stripies and lots of bait fish, little flying fish and the like, but just no fish out there. At the end of the day, we came back in and then missed another fish inside 80 fathoms, around about 78 to 79 fathoms. So the fish were in on the edge, but that current was howling down doing 4 knots. It was very uncomfortable, I might say. But this big blow could break it all up, but it's really going to be interesting to see what happens on the water. I've got a report today, black marlin back off the bay, and in fact, one of the guys I was talking to, very close, in on Mungo, small black marlin tailing through there. As I got a report also from Jason Smith through the week, black marlin on the FAD off Moon Island. So the FAD, the two artificial reefs that they put there, big structures just to the northeast of Moon Island. One of the boys there lost a black marlin on the weekend. I don't know if he lost or caught it, I wasn't quite sure, but they estimated around about 100 kilo or thereabouts. But on the FAD, and it's not the first time that we've seen black marlin on that inshore fishery on that artificial reef. So it's just going to show you what actually can physically happen. Along the coast, there's been a lot of dolphin fish, suddenly a bit of resurgence. A couple of reports through the week, a couple of nice fish, 75s up to a metre, and drifting pieces, bits of timber. The boys I spoke to and sent me the report, a big coil of rope drifting, a lot of dolphin fish around. And we're going to start to see a lot of that move down the coast from the floodwaters up to the north. We're going to see lots of trees and branches and stuff like that. So it's something to keep your eye out, one, when you're traveling, but the advantage is the dolphin fish will be thick on those little floating artificial reefs. Perfect for fishing. Inshore fishery, a lot of trag. We're heading into the dark cycle that we're in now, basically, and a lot of fish, not big guys, there's a lot of fish, 38s to 45s, maybe the odd better fish, but a lot of trag coastally. We're starting to see now a few more tailor offshore, flathead, and of course, some reasonable sized res. Not a lot of bonito on those offshore reefs, but we're just not going to get there on that offshore scene this weekend at all. It's going to be basically unsafe. That swell will pick up quite quickly, particularly going into Sunday, so I don't suggest anyone goes rock fishing on Sunday. Saturday you'll get away with those nor'easters, but you're definitely going to see an increase in swell. And along the beaches there's still been a few mulloway, but the tail are patchy. I just think we've got to get through the weekend, and hopefully as we get into next week we start to see that weather settle, because really at this stage it's not going to start to settle down until around about next Thursday. The estuary at the present moment, there is a little bit of a prawn run happening out of the lake. The Convery boys had a bit of a look last night. Didn't get a lot, probably half a kilo of prawns, a variant in size. There was virtually no one out there, but it still shows you the ability there. You've got enough to get out there and get some live bait. So that'll happen over the next few nights, but it's going to get ugly, so you're just going to have to be careful. You're going to do it, you're going to need to do it down near the bridge where it's a little bit safer. Few squid in the system, but there's been some really nice mulloway, and we've seen some great photos this week as well, some really cracking fish, and I think it was 1.2 meters. So you see these big mulloway in the lake at this period of time coming into April, which will continue into May. So some very good mulloway in the system, a lot of flathead. There's been a few people trolling in and around Belmont Bay this week. I haven't seen any reports, but I would think that there's going to be basically a few fish there. The few flathead and brim around, I know, as I say, well, Randall Mason and his guys, they got that nice fish, that nice mulloway through the week, but a real variant in what's going on. There's still a few reds that are happening, but there's some good brim now. The trouble is at the moment, the brim that have been on the flats, and I spoke to Hilly about it, they were thick a couple of weeks ago and it started to drop off. There's a lot of mullet on the back of the flats at the moment, and there's a few sharks getting into them overnight. There's a lot of bust ups happening. They're not mulloway in on those, it's definitely sharks, and it's putting the fish off. So you're still seeing the odd tailor and a few brim, but no real consistent with the brim. And I still think there's an opportunity to tangle with a few of those whiting guys. All in all, it's going to be tough this weekend. Rack up some brownie points, try to make it clear for the week after. If you're going to fish on the edge, maybe in and around Salts Bay, pick somewhere secluded, but don't think too much of it. Hopefully we get out of it all right. And those tides this weekend, just to give you a heads up, 9 o'clock tomorrow, 1.97, and around about 9:45 on Sunday. So that is something to consider if we get big tides and big swell with those big tidal movements, almost up to 2 meters. And of course the low tide just a little bit after 3 tomorrow. Piece it together. I'll see you next week.